Right. 3, 2, 1. Got that.
Hello, and a belated Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for tuning in to the first Beefywink Podcast, your fortnightly conduit of chaos. My name is K-Rush, we're Beefywink, and this is Feel Me. Sweet. So yeah, that was Feel Me, which is one of the 2 singles we're releasing from our upcoming album. We're stupidly excited to release it. These songs, the 7 songs that we've got on this album are going to be a kind of, they're a collection of the songs we've been kind of writing over the last 3 years. The songs that people will have kind of seen us play at a lot of different venues now. But with no way of actually listening to them after the gig ends, and for some kind of stroke of luck, we've retained a really nice, regular, loyal crowd, yourselves, our gigs, and this is really for you guys who've just been listening to us from the get-go. Songs like Political Barista, Holocene Heroin, Bottom Feeder, Mr. Lardy Da, they're all on there, and we're about halfway through recording it now. It's gonna sound fucking amazing. May is when we're aiming to get it out, but we'll give you more information as it comes out. We've got artwork to announce, some really big news with that. And yeah, we'll talk about single releases as the year goes on. Thanks very much to everyone who came down to the Uncollective Christmas party, which was at the Crofters Rights just a couple of days before Christmas. That was a extremely enjoyable night, and it always is with the Uncollective crew. If you don't know who Uncollective are, they are a unique and always open-doored group of people who they accept everyone who in other places may not get the right audience, may not get the right reception, and they have the most amazing and heartwarming level of support for the acts they put on, and the nights they put on are renowned for bringing a smile to your face. Spoils Collective, absolutely insane band, absolutely insane. It was actually quite endearing how extroverted they were, quite inspirational in its way. And Big Bean Puppetry as well, it's completely kind of left field approach to puppetry and to live performance. You also had Aisha Humphreys and the amazing T.S. Idiot and their poetry, and that's something you get at Uncollective nights. You do get a total mix of acts. It's never just bands. It's just a total mix of really, really good talent. The poetry is always really quite poignant moment in the night, because you do get an audience who listens and appreciates what's going on stage, and no one's just babbling about at the bar. It's thank you to everyone who came down to that. It was Azalee's first gig with us as well, as is our new bassist and vocalist as well, and she's incredible. We were stupidly excited to enter into 2020 with her, and I think everyone who came down to that gig, you gave her the most amazing welcome. It was also lovely meeting all of Az's mates, and I look forward to meeting you all again, hopefully in the near future, and that kind of extends to all the bands that we're going to meet through Az. Burnout and Slap Rush are two we're already very familiar with, and look forward to actually finally meeting and gigging together. It was a magnificent night and a great way to end a decade, truly end of an era. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you didn't make it down to this Christmas show, then don't worry. We've got an absolute stellar gig for you in January to shake off those January blues and to get you back into the swing of what is going to be an amazing year, especially for music in Bristol. On the 18th of January, which is it's a Saturday, we're going to be supporting Joy at their single release, which is going to be at Rough Trade in Bristol, right in the city centre. Joy, if you haven't heard of these guys, they're a really, really cool grunge punk kind of noise rock band. Nirvana, My Bloody Valentine, Queens of the Stone Age, that kind of drift, and they're really cool. The lineup they've got at the moment, they got together about a year ago, and they've been working and slaving away over this kind of new sound for the band, and what they've landed on is actually breathtaking. It's very moving music, as well as being very kind of noisy and terrifying. They're immense. Later on in the podcast, we've actually got an exclusive listen of the single, and then a subsequent interview that I managed to get with the Joy Boys after band practice the other day. But more about this gig, their single release. Also supporting them, you've got Grandma's House, who are absolutely amazing. Self-described surfy post-punk three-piece with too much energy. And from what I've seen of their videos and photos, that is entirely true. I've not had the honour of seeing them yet. Unfortunately, I was working the night they were playing with Football FC, but luckily the first time I get to watch them is the night we're playing with them, which that's really nice. That's really exciting. They've got a tune called Never Out of Luck. Found this on their SoundCloud account. It's a trashy and aggressive banger, honestly. And all I can say is Beefywink is gas to play with you guys. Shout out to Grandma's House. Gyno as well. Gyno were also playing at this gig. Now, and Gyno are long-time mates of ours. We met them at the Uncollective Summer gig at Mother's Ruin. And ever since then, I think every gig we've had with them, just very heartwarming people to be around, very calming presences, and they play some really beautiful music. The EP they released last year, it's called Flamingo Cigarettes. It's honestly a fucking dream to listen to. They write witty and heartwarming, grungy, funky tunes. Honestly, all I can say is just go to the Spotify and check them out. In particular, I love the song Hunchback. I can't really put my finger on what I like about it most. I think the lyrics are really touching. They really ring true with me. And I really like the fact that towards the end, you'll have to listen out for this, but there's a fucking accordion just jamming in, and it just pulls the song into a completely new kind of ethereal scope. So fuck yeah, Gyno. This gig is honestly going to be spectacular. It's the Saturday, the 18th of January, and it's at Rough Trade in Bristol. Tickets are on sale currently at £3. If you go onto the Head First Bristol website, you can get yours now. You can get your mate one. It's the price of a meal deal. I don't know. That's just good economics, if you ask me. Joy, as I've said earlier on, have been very kind, and they've given Beefywink a permission to give you guys an exclusive listen to their new single. And when I heard it about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I fucking shut a brick. It's unbelievable, and I won't say any more. Without further ado, I give you Plastic Waste at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
I don't know.
On both sides of the window that are both quite structural.
there you go, everyone. There you have it. That was Joy with Plastic Waste at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. I love that song so much. I love the bass line. I love the moody, kind of trudgy guitars. I love the instrumental that won't stop. I love the scream that Toby does halfway through. You just feel it in the pit of your stomach. And that song is a real testament to the band. They recorded it all themselves in the practice room that we share with them and another band called Beverly Shrills. Shout out to those guys. They just recorded it themselves on a little 4-track channel recorder. The vocals are just done out in a corridor. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've been so DIY about it, and you get to hear all about this in the interview later on, so I won't tell it to you now. But what I will say is you will be able to find that song on all the normal streaming platforms once they've officially released it on the 18th. Until then, you're just going to have to keep listening to this podcast, skipping it back and keep playing it over and over and over again. Now, on Friday night, I went down to Debon House in Old Market, which is where Joy practice, and I sat in on one of their band practices and then just had a little chat with them afterwards. I chatted with Toby and George and Lucas and Louis. It was really lovely. It was a great start to the interviews on this show, and we managed to talk about a lot of different things. We managed to talk DIY recording styles, Star Wars cameos from members of the band, and we even managed to get around to fancy cocktails from secret Bristol bars. This interview does start with the scream that you actually heard at the start of the podcast, which is why when the recording begins in a minute, you will hear the aftermath of the scream and George struggling for existence after he let everything out of him. So yeah, enjoy. I'm sitting here with Joy. They've just finished band practice. They've just torn their vocal cords apart as well. You all right, George?
Yeah, I literally just closed up.
Go on, have a drink. I've got Guinness in a mug. We're living life on the edge.
That's better. Right.
Wonderful, mate. How are we all this evening? How are we all?
Yeah, good.
It's not this evening. It's like 11:30.
Night time, basically.
How are you, Carl?
I'm all right. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling alive. Yeah. So everyone would have just listened to the song, "Plastic Waste" at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, the single.
It's fucking amazing.
Cheers, man.
It's actually amazing, honestly. Let's just for the total layman who knows nothing about you, could you just tell us what's happened over the last year that's kind of brought you to this point of existence, really, in your timeline?
Yeah.
A year is a really long time to think back.
Yeah. Well, I guess
You were definitely there, man. I remember you being there.
it's been this lineup for a year. That's the main thing,
Yeah.
I think. Lucas was saying he thinks it's actually next week that it's the anniversary of this lineup.
Happy anniversary,
Which
guys.
is
This be your first birthday.
Yeah. Well, we just started off rehearsing in the living room in mine and Toby's old place, and then we just moved it into the studio and been working towards a single for basically for ages.
It's been a long time coming. Let's be honest.
It's like that process of really wanting things to be perfect before you start releasing stuff and kind of taking time to work on it.
Sure.
We were at uni with you and Beefywink.
Indeed. I mean, I remember this band was a very different kind of. It was Big Fish at one point, and even when it became Joy, it was still a very different band to what we've got now. You know, how would you say it's kind of? What would you say has kind of come to light in this new kind of formation?
It's much louder.
Much louder. Beautiful.
Lots more distortion and spiky, abrasive noise than it used to be. Because I feel like these guys can put up with it a little bit more.
You can be taking the strain. Fair play. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that kind of progression is really showing in your songwriting as well. It's matured in a quite abrasive way in all the benefits that can bring to a band. What do you think inherently makes a good band then?
I think not trying too hard, like that in the right way, like not just like getting too obsessed with being like one or the other thing, and just kind of like letting what's actually kind of like what's actually natural for you to play just like coming out. Like we talked the other day about how we saw Football FC at the Old E, and they literally just played one chord for like an entire song, and they played it with attitude, and it was fucking sick. Whereas like most people would have this like kind of instincts try and go like it's like fuck that, strip it back, and like just kind of
it's the opposite. It's unwriting everything we ever learned for the sake of rewriting music. Exactly. I think that's that, like, again, and that completely shows in your music. Would you say that's obviously like how did this single then come about from this kind of attitude? Like what inspired your sounds on this?
Well, the track kind of like most of the feeling comes from the bass line, the verses that kind of like drives everything.
It's very sludgy, but the drive is there.
Yes, that's the groove.
Because Toby would have wrote the song first. He wrote the chords.
I think one thing that's interesting about this one actually.
It happened very. I think it was like Toby. It was the first song we did, which just came together in like one practice.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, like
Nice.
It was the first song that I've written whilst we've been with the new lineup.
I was about to say,
All the other
I
songs
think
were,
that's
like, from
Fair, right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I felt like a good one to do.
This really is your baptism song in a way. Yeah, that's beautiful. Because you obviously, I know how it was recorded, and I know the kind of genius that went into it. But just for everyone listening at home, just give us a listen. No, because I kind of. Like, I heard it when it was, so this is what we're doing, and I was like, okay, cool, that sounds mad. And then I was like, cool, this is what we've done. I'm like, okay, I need to hear this. And then when I got the recording a few weeks ago, I was like, fuck, that's how you did it. So could you just tell everyone, like, how it kind of happened? Yeah.
it was very long.
Recorded it in this room.
Well, we recorded a lot of it in this room, not all of it in this room.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we did the drums in one take. One take. But
okay, this is one thing we don't. Well, I especially don't like recording to a click.
Sure.
And that's something we went into the recording wanting to try and do, and I think we achieved that quite well. I think it allows you to have like dynamicism. Like some bits might just naturally kind of fall back a little bit in a song, and then kind of speed up again.
Sort of like it does in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's literally like someone sitting in the corner of your band practice. That was the because like I remember you saying you went in with like a realist mindset, and I think that is the great way of kind of that's a great analogy of it. Is just someone sitting in your room listening to the rawest realist kind of take you could have given it. Yeah.
I wanted to.
George was looking at like loads of Steve Albini techniques for
Sure.
and his whole ethos is like that.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us one of those Steve Albini techniques?
Well, he always insists, well, doesn't insist, but he prefers the bands he works with, again, not to record to a click track. It's kind of minimal post-production. The biggest part of it is capturing the best sound you can straight away with the microphones so that you have as little as possible work to do afterwards. Right. That's what I like to do. And so we took that a step further with Toby's vocals, for example. So Toby was stood in the corridor behind us. There was an array of microphones just capturing up the reverb of that room, because it's a really concrete corridor for people listening.
So it's all natural reverb on that song.
The whole thing is natural. None of it's artificial.
Ridiculous. Yeah, because it's such nice reverb. You could sit there on any production software kind of like trying to get that reverb meticulously, or you can just whack Toby in a corridor. Yeah. Like, that's in itself is quite inventive.
Yeah, I think it's constraints like that force you to make a choice, and then you can't back out of it. And so then rather than kind of sitting with your plug-in and trying to like fiddle with everything all the time, you just got the reverb there, and then it's just a case of mixing it in.
Perfect. So just use your environment.
You can't overthink it, yeah.
What would you all say is like a really good kind of bit of advice to anyone who is going through the same position as you? They're a year into being in a band, and now they want to really start recording some meaty kind of commercial value kind of songs. What would you say to these people about like recording their tracks?
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. It's horrible. It does nothing as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Rather have something shitty that you've recorded on a 4-track tape machine that you like and you've enjoyed recording and you've been able to fuck about with and just like enjoy the process.
Sure.
Than going into a studio and the engineer's a dickhead and you just come away like kind of hating it, and you've heard the track like a million times over and you just despise it.
Yeah. It's clinical and laborious at the end of the day, isn't it? And I think inherently you always feel when you're in a band that there is a certain formula to success, and you have to go to X studio and record in certain style. But I think your single is living proof that you don't have to do that whatsoever.
Yeah.
You bring it, you bring the mountains to Muhammad, so to speak, and you do it on your terms, and the result is just as fresh as anyone who went to tireless lengths. But you've done it on your terms. I think that is a success. You should all be very proud of, honestly.
I think that's quite emblematic of the band in a way as well. It's like kind of just doing it ourselves and like
totally
under our own steam rather than like relying on anything else.
I love that, honestly. So what are your plans following this single release? Come the next weekend, which I've already told everyone about, gig happens, great night, single goes out. What's the plan after that?
Another single.
Straight back into it, yeah.
We've already started recording it, yeah.
We have indeed. This is the song that we're going to be listening to in a bit, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Oh, so we've got even more music to look forward to.
Release. Yeah.
Too exclusive for this show. I love it. Wonderful. And so it would just be consecutive releases throughout the year. Is that what everyone's got to look forward to? Any kind of tours you've got kind of on the cusp of planning?
Yeah.
No.
Well, we've thought about a tour. I know I've got like a plan.
Louis not coming with us.
Yeah, Louis. Sorry to break it to you, Louis, but Louis is too committed to Star Wars now. Louis was in Star Wars and he's now had his big acting break.
Oh, right. See, you've got better things to do. Yeah,
that's actually true.
I'm not aware that we've planned tours, is what I'm saying.
We've been talking about it.
You were in Star Wars?
Louis was in Star Wars, yeah.
Could you say a few more words, man? That's wicked. Like we got a real life alien in the studio today.
He's not in it.
I mean, what are you on about, man?
I'm in the credits. Fuck off.
It's my shining moment. I know I'm just an extra, but I am on screen. My face is on screen for about a second.
What were you a stormtrooper? Well, no, obviously not.
That was me.
Honest.
You'll see me when the Star Destroyer is getting destroyed, and
spoilers alert. I should have said that now. Well, now you know that. Like while it's being destroyed, you've got this beautiful face to look forward to, and
a ship blowing up in Star Wars isn't that much of a.
No, I'm sure that happens fairly regularly in Star Wars. It's kind of the main game of Star Wars, isn't it? Like let's blow something up, grand. At least the tunes are banging. I've always thought that about the soundtrack of Star Wars. It's like the moment it comes on, it's like a motorcycle just ridden into your front row. It's fucking amazing, man. Where would you all be? What would you all be doing if you weren't in a band and you never picked up guitar or, respectively, drumsticks, Lucas? What would you all be doing?
Oh God. Don't know.
Thinking about.
Yeah.
I'd probably get back doing a shot. I don't know. Something arty.
Yeah. I wanted to do acting when I was before when I chose to go to university. It was either between acting or music.
Star Wars or Glastonbury.
Star Wars.
You know what I mean? It's one or the other. I
guess it's like it's pretty much another kind of impossible task, isn't it? Really, but
probably working at zoo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Louis likes doing wildlife photography.
Sick. Wow. What was your latest kind of project that you were working on with your photography then?
Well, I used to take photos of insects.
Insects?
Yeah, lots of close-ups of insects because I find their features quite interesting.
Yeah. any particular like beetles? Are we talking
all four of them, John, Paul, Ring.
They weren't aware that the photos were being taken.
I don't know if beetles are insects. Are they? No, they are.
They've got 6 legs and they're definitely invertebrates.
You're right.
I don't know. I feel bad.
No, any insect. That was it. That was a short-lived period.
But that's what you'd be doing, failing plastic waste. Fair play to you. Well, obviously you're a Bristol band, based in Bristol. We're sitting in Bristol as we speak. What is your favourite venue in Bristol to play?
Mother's Ruin?
Yeah.
Mother's Ruin straight away. I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah, what is it about the Mother's Ruin that's...
Acoustics are really good.
Yeah.
When you go upstairs, there's like a floor and then there's stairs going down, but there's no like walls around the stairs. So you've got these 2 levels for all the sound.
Amazingly open plan.
It's something like, that's another... remember we were talking about how in electrical audio, Steve Albini's studio. It's got those dips in the sides of the studio that scoop out the bass. So the studio is like a square, and then all the way around the edges of the studio are these massive dips that go all the way down to the basement that capture like bass and kind of like scoop it out a little bit.
Nice.
And I think that's what the Mother's Ruin does, because there's that staircase. I think it captures some really kind of like difficult frequencies to deal with in a gig situation, and
Sure.
just sends them downstairs.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of like floats really nicely on the top. I think there's some science in there.
It's quite miraculous. If there is science, then props to them, because I think like whenever like Beefywink have played there, or I've ever, or, you know, we've especially with Parker's as well. They always put on an amazing show there. Like the sets you kind of see, they're always different to other venues. They'll play Crofters, they'll play Louisiana, and then the Ruin show will always be a different style of performance. Someone eventually will be getting up on the banister and shouting down to the people at the bar, and it's such a kind of like unique experience that I think that's I was kind of expecting that answer. And I think a lot of people will inevitably say the Mother's Ruin. 100%. Goal wise, this time next year, what would you like to have just generally achieved?
An album or
World
an EP.
domination.
World domination.
Another Star Wars film.
You and George Lucas talked about this already. It's like failing joy. Have you got another one coming?
Yeah, world domination, kind of in a kind of like totalitarian way.
Of course.
In a musical way.
Musical dictatorship.
Perfect.
There we go.
Are there any festivals you'd be really keen to play?
Glastonbury. I would feel
Glastonbury
like
for you
I've
guys.
made it. I can dance
That's
happy
all or
if I
nothing.
play
I like that. I like that. That's take. Are there any kind of are there any places you obviously haven't gigged yet before that you're kind of really keen to like?
Trade.
Rough Trade.
Yeah.
Well, I
which is
suppose,
happening next
yeah.
week. Yeah.
There we go. That honestly, that show, like, we could probably talk about it in itself. That show, this has been a long time coming. Like this single release, and I think that's what everyone who's coming to that gig is going to be feeling and thinking. What are your thoughts about the show? You got any nerves? You got any apprehensions, or are you full force into it?
I think full force into
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna-
Yeah.
Should be a good time.
Yeah.
Bless.
It's going to be like kind of, there's going to be lots of different like elements to it as well. We're going to bring a load of the bits of tapestries that we used for the music video.
Nice.
And like we were originally going to like exhibit them in the kind of foyer area, but I think we're going to put them on stage, so it's like a backdrop.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's what do they call it? Where it's immersive experience. That's exactly it. And like you will see the kind of crossovers from the video. Go and watch the video when it's out, obviously, and you will be able to spot the difference from the Rough Trade version of the song and the music video version of the song. It's been sick chatting with you guys. I'm going to ask you one final question. If we were in a pub, any pub, not even necessarily the Mother's Ruin, and this bar served every drink you've ever had, we'll go around in a circle. What are we all having? Lucas, what is your drink?
Beasting on black.
Beasting on black. That is some bomb spar.
Can you serve it?
Oh, put hairs on your chest, that shit.
Or Moretti, that's it.
Nice.
Probably a Guinness.
Guinness, good man. Toby sitting there going, can I say absinthe? Like,
I don't know. I didn't drink that much. It's hard to think.
we can get you a tap water if you want, man. I'm not gonna ridicule you.
I'd get just a Heineken, maybe.
Yeah.
It does serve any drink. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic one. If you like, you gagging for
I'll
like
get a
pineapple
beer,
juice or
it's
something.
fine. I'll have a Heineken.
Literally just being at the bar right now.
The bar's currently stood there, just like.
George, last but not least, what would you be drinking in this fantastic pub of ours?
I'll have any cocktail from the Milk Thistle.
What would be your favourite? Milk Thistle, for anyone listening, is well, I'll let George introduce it.
Lovely secret Bristol bar.
Secret Bristol bar,
If I had to
indeed.
choose, I'll have a Negroni.
Grony, what's in that?
A Negroni is gin, vermouth, and Campari, and a little bit of orange. All stirred in. It's great.
Dandy. Well, it sounds like we would have an amazing night should we be drinking, but nonetheless we are chatting. All right, well, thank you, Joy, for coming into the studio. George, Toby, Louis, and Lucas, you've been an absolute pleasure to chat with. Come and see their single release on the 18th. We're now going to get a listen, an exclusive Beefywink Podcast listen to a song that they recorded about 20 minutes ago in the room sitting right behind me. Does this song have a name yet?
No, but it'll be the B-side to the single.
It's the B-side to the single. Wonderful. Well, we've got that to look forward. Is that coming out on the 18th as well?
No. Well, what we want to do is we want to do that Bandcamp vinyl thing.
Sweet.
Perfect. So
Perfect.
people can like pay for it in advance, and then we'll eventually release them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we'll give that a listen now. Thanks so much for chatting with me, boys.
Always a pleasure.
Can't wait for the 18th. Thank you very much. Amazing. Well, I hope you liked listening to that interview. I hope you found it interesting to hear more about Joy. I'm going to play the aforementioned untitled track that they recorded especially for the Beefywink podcast. They recorded it themselves in the same place that they recorded Plastic Waste. It's just live through a 4-track interface, and it's a testament to how well balanced their music is, and what incredible songwriters they are. So yeah, I hope you like it.
Okay, all good.
What was I doing?
Somewhere up in heaven, Jeff Buckley is looking down, smiling. That was Untitled by Joy. Come to their gig on the 18th of January, Saturday the 18th of January at Rough Trade. They're releasing a single. You're gonna fucking love it. It's gonna be a sick night. The interview is gonna be a regular fixture in the podcast. We want to try and showcase as many local bands as we can, who we think are just kind of pulling their weight, and not just bands actually. We really want to just showcase any kind of bright mind. There are a lot of like event organizers, a lot of MCs, a lot of poets, a lot of artists, a lot of just creatives generally who in Bristol need and deserve a fucking big shout out. So yeah, if you know anyone in the scene who's giving it their all and is totally committed to their craft and their career, then please put us in touch, because we wanted to talk to as many interesting and bright young people who are trying to make as big waves in the scene as possible. One of the features we're going to have on this podcast is we're going to update you on all the kind of gigs that we would recommend people going to, simply just happening over the next 2 weeks between now and the next podcast. This means, obviously, if you're not available this week, you can always go to one next week. There are an amazing amount of live music events always going on. It's obviously quite early in the year at the moment, so they're still just picking up. But I think, honestly, we'd all be a lot happier as a species if we put going to live music events into our weekly routine. The feeling that can be found when you find a really good band who play a good song and the crowd are so amicable, and kind of there's just a feeling in the air. I don't know. I don't want to sound too wanky, to be fair, but it's just an amazing experience, and I think if more people went to gigs, I don't know, we'd probably just smile more. But anyway, we do have some awesome gigs we just want to announce coming up. Tuesday, the 14th of January at the Crofters Rights. Our mates We Are Parkers, they're supporting a band called Misery Kids. Unlike their name suggests, they're amazingly upbeat. And We Are Parkers, they're a band I really hope to get on the show at some point. Got a huge amount of love for them. And yeah, if you get a chance, go and listen to their song Medication. Go and listen to Penny Drop. Go and listen to We Are the Gods. They do an amazing fusion of just like rock, like just good kind of indie rock, kind of with very poetic, tender kind of songwriting beneath it. Amazing band. And so yeah, they're playing this gig at the Crofters on the 14th. If you do miss this show, they are playing a show the next night in Bath. They're playing Moles. If you know Moles, you'll know how good a venue that is, especially when Parkers are there. They're supporting a band called the Estevans. Also playing on that night is a band called Youth. So make it down to the 14th or the 15th. Go see We Are Parkers. You'll hear more from them definitely on this show. The 16th of January, there's a night at the Jam Jar in Bristol from Intrinsic Music. It's a night of forward-thinking electronica. There's immersive and interactive visuals, live art, and high-fidelity audio. It's a really wacky night. I've been listening to a lot of the artists that they've booked. The main actor is a guy from the Netherlands. It's really interesting music. Give these guys a listen. Even if you don't make it to the gig, try and find the event page and then just like listen to the tunes. Like they describe it as forward-thinking electronica, and I don't know shit about electronica, but it definitely sounds very forward-thinking. And yeah, I really like that. Next up, Friday the 17th of January, Mother's Ruin have got a really big show on. It's part of the Free For All festival that's going on in Bristol. There's a gig every night this month somewhere in Bristol. Go and have a look at the Free For All events. Find one for yourself. But the one we really, really want to shout out is the Friday the 17th of January. Erotic Secrets of Pompeii. they're playing on that night, and we met those guys last year, and they are probably our favourite band in Bristol at the moment. They released an album called Witness in the House of Pox, which it's a surreal musical nightmare of pure fucking genius. Mad love especially for the tune Utterly Rudderless. That is a song I'd highly recommend putting on in a car when you're driving down the road very fast. Erotic Sequels on Pompeii. Even their name alone says everything and nothing about the band. Just go and listen to them. You're going to have to find them out. Yeah, obviously the day after that, the 18th of January, as we've mentioned many times today already, is Joy's single release. I'll do one final little push. Please come. Grandma's House, Gyno, Beefywink and Joy at Rough Trade Bristol. That's £3 entry. Up next is a really important gig that I want to give a little bit of light to. Wednesday the 22nd of January, there's a huge all-day event at the Bath Spa Student Union in Aden, celebration of the organisation Safe Gigs for Women. If you know anything about Safe Gigs for Women, you know how poignant and crucial it is to the survival of good live music events and the integrity of what live music is about, which is about camaraderie and about unity. This event is hoping just a quick start, a conversation about sexual assault and harassment in the music industry, which, if you don't know about it, go and chat to someone who probably has had first-hand experiences, I hate to say. But it's people are there, people want to talk about it on the basis they want to see it end. And I think that it's an amazing thing that there are a load of bands coming together on this day to celebrate and to raise awareness about it. You've got bands like All Smiles in Wonderland, who they recently went on tour with our mate Squidge. They are fucking amazing. Really kind of like old school, mid-noughties kind of alternative rock. I don't want to offend anyone, but either way, it's really good. Go listen to their latest single, Whatever Makes You Sleep at Night. That is a really, really touching song. Also playing that night, you've got Beau Séjour, Pompadour, Elizabeth Pickering. You got loads of fucking top class music. For an amazing event. It's free entry. It starts at 4 p.m. Just go to it. It's in Bath Spa Student Union. And now for a band from Bath who are playing a gig in Bristol. On the 23rd of January, Shivari are playing Mr. Wolf's in St. Nick's. If you know Shivari, you'll know that they are... It's just an experience. They're a noise punk outfit from Bath, who we met last year at Pigstock, at the Pig and Fiddle. They actually went on just before us, and I don't like saying this because it sounds a bit cringe, but I mean this with full sincerity. Like, when they came off stage, I literally didn't want to go back on. Like, I didn't want to go up there because I just wanted to let the dust settle, and I just wanted to kind of review what I just experienced. Go and see them. They're releasing a new album next month, so we'll have to see if we can get them on the show as well. It'd be really cool to chat to those guys. They're really, really sweet people. Then Friday the 24th of January, at the Chelsea, a band we've already mentioned once today in the podcast, a band called Burnout, who are Az's mates. They're playing a really sick show. Indoor Swimming are also playing, a couple of other bands. They're just really cool, kind of riffy punk fuckery. You'll love it if you're into any of the kind of shit that's kicking off at the moment. Go and listen to their song Drugs on Spotify. It doesn't need an introduction. The lyrics are actually really, really, really poignant to the way a lot of musicians are probably feeling at this point in time. So go and check them out. Come down to the gig. That's the 24th of January at the Chelsea in Bristol. And the last gig we want to announce before we start bringing this podcast to a close is actually one of ours. We're playing our first show in Clevedon as part of Winterfest, which is it's an all-day event chock full of locally sourced, high-quality bands from around the southwest. It's at the Salt House pub, which, from what I've heard, it's actually got a really good reputation putting on sick nights. The town turn out, and they've all got their dancing shoes on. Yeah, this actually sounds like a really cool gig. Big love to Erotic Secrets of Pompeii for recommending us when the promoters were looking for more bands. Yeah, thank you so much for giving us a shout out. If anyone's planning on coming to that gig, we're on at 20 to 8. I think on stage 1. There are 2 stages, and we're on one of them. Come down, come say hello. It's a nice out-of-town show, only down the road. It's a short bus if you're living in Bristol. Stick around for Erotic Secrets of Pompeii show. If you missed them at the Mother's Ruin, stick around for their set at Winterfest. They're headlining the main event, which is why I'm talking about them so much. That's all. That's really it for the next 2 weeks of gigs. I really hope that between all of those, you'll find your way out of the house and into a music venue supporting some seriously good music. If you do make it to any of these gigs, go up to these bands and say, hello, Beefywink sent me. And I can assure you, all of them will give you a lovely big warm hug. Go and spread some love, go and enjoy some amazing music. And I hope you enjoy the next 2 weeks of gigs. Now, if you know of any gigs coming up that you really want everyone to know about and to show up to, please tell us. Drop Beefywink a message, get us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you comment on this. Just tell us some gigs. Tag the gig in the description. We want to shout out as many gigs as humanly possible. If we end up shouting out 2 gigs on the same day, well, may the best band win, whatever. We just want to get people to gigs, and I think this is going to be a really kind of effective way. So yeah, just tell us if there's a show on, and we will put it into the bulletin. Now, another feature of the kind of fortnightly podcast that I was just hoping to kind of add in was I would like to read a poem, just one that I've picked off my bookshelf today. No particular reason or agenda, just I wanted to share with you some amazing pieces of writing that I hope you'd enjoy listening to whenever you choose to put this podcast on. So if you are listening when we release it on the Sunday and you're chilling out, I hope you enjoy. I won't give any introduction, it doesn't really need it. I think it kind of defeats the point of just enjoying poetry for what it is. But this poem comes from Sylvia Plath's collection of poems called Ariel. This poem is called The Night Dances. A smile fell in the grass, irretrievable. And how will your night dances lose themselves? In mathematics? Such pure leaps and spirals. Surely they will travel the world forever. I shall not entirely sit emptied of beauties. The gift of your small breath, the drenched grass smell of your sleeps. Lilies, lilies. Their flesh bears no relation. Cold folds of ego, the calla, and the tiger embellishing itself. Spots and a spread of hot petals. The comets have such space to cross. Such coldness, forgetfulness, so your gesture flake off. Warm and human, then their pink light bleeding and peeling. Through the black amnesias of heaven, why am I given these lamps, these planets, falling like blessings, like flakes? 6-sided white on my eyes, my lips, my hair, touching and melting nowhere. Yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I don't actually want to get into the habit of even discussing poems. I want you to just enjoy it for what it is. I hope I read it well. If you liked it enough, go and find it yourself. Again, that is called The Night Dances by Sylvia Plath from her collection of poems called Ariel. That's it from me this week. I hope you've enjoyed the first Beefywink podcast. If you have, please show some love. Like, comment, share it about, show it to your nan. I'm sure she'll really like Joy and all the other bands we got on here. If you didn't like it, that is okay. Don't worry about it. Well done for making it this far through. You're about 57 minutes into a podcast you don't enjoy. Something good must be going on there. And, you know, if you really didn't enjoy it, don't worry. Just go and listen to something you do enjoy and spend your time focused on something that makes you happy. This podcast is going to be a reoccurring fortnightly social communion. And I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks. Please keep checking back every other Sunday. There will be a new one, there'll be a new interview, there'll be a new list of gigs to announce and new information about the album. Bands, please get in touch. I've already mentioned, but if you've got any releases that we can promote on here, then we will. You know, you don't even have to come in for the interview if you're not available or if you're not even local. We just want to play tunes. We can't play anyone else's tunes. So if you've got a song and you just want it played, yeah, we'd love to play it. We really would. More news about our upcoming album will reach you in the next few weeks. Today, we're actually going into the studio and laying down a shitload more guitar parts. We've also got a really nice band practice booked just to get prepared for the Joy 18th of January single release show at Rough Trade. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. It'll be amazing to see you down there. I won't stress the point, but that's what we're all working towards. All right, then. Time to wrap up. See you on the 18th of January. I'm K-Rush. We're Beefywink. You're beautiful. Have a great few weeks. Ciao, ciao.